into a powerful future. And we can't live out the future that our minds, our own minds, cannot see. You know, and it's part of the reason why I'm bringing Jason, because I feel like for me, beginning to dream and beginning to think on that level, so much of that is surrounded by the way that he thinks and the way that he inspires and the way that he lives his life. And so I feel like there's a lot of things that we can benefit as a team in that, and that we aren't just talking around ideas, but we are figuring out ways for to really make our ideas happen. It's very important to have the stuff that we need to do done within the team, but it's even more importantly that we are communicating to other people from other organizations, other people from other schools, other people from other churches, other people from, and getting them to understand what we are about and getting as much support as we can. Because that's what a movement is about. Organizations are really very much about what we can do top down. Movements are about how many people we can inspire to be part of our journey.
Short. I feel like we have such a short time here on Earth that if you're not willing to risk each day or each year or each decision, then why, like if you fail, you're no worse off, right? And it's like, for me, I'd much rather just risk it all and live on the edge and make the more dangerous decision, because I believe that if you look through history, those are the people who actually made history or changed it. And Billy Graham, a couple years ago, I read an article and they said, what do you regret about your journey, about everything you've done? And he said, I wish that I risked more, because the God that I serve, not only requires that, but will bless that. He blesses the people who risk more and risk often, and not to be stupid or unwise about the decisions you make, but when faced with that challenge, risk it. And we I think for Chisomo Idea or anything is that every journey and story is different, and that's why, whether it's like one-on-one, like every human's different, and the human experience is very unique in that we constantly measure ourselves to one another, and that's how we gauge our importance or our talent or our worth. But it's like such a deception that I think that's like the one thing that God would really want us to realize, is that you aren't better or worse than anyone else. There's no comparison. You are created to be you. And it's weird because depression or anything else that has to do with like hating self is stems from that, I think, comparison. Like, I'm not as good looking as them, or I'm not as smart as them, or I'm not as creative as them, but it's like, it's not about you, it's not about them, it's about you and who you were made to be by God. And so in the same way, I think that nonprofits or movies or whatever, you don't compare it to anyone else. Chisomo Idea's version and a DNA is gonna look unlike anything else. And when you realize that to its fullest potential, that is when the story becomes like very attractive and interesting and compelling. And the challenge, of course, is to how to tell your own story, because it's really hard to be objective. It's cool. It's cool what you guys are doing. It's super, super inspiring, and it's true that I always think that, like, there is, vision or an idea I had, which is like Invisible Children plays a puzzle piece in a much larger puzzle piece, and you guys are totally a part of that, and so many other organizations and nonprofits are as well. And in my opinion, and from traveling throughout Africa and stuff, Chisomo Idea and others are the ones that are doing the work that so many people won't do. You are in the shadows of between governments and other large nonprofits that aren't able to work, and so that really is monumental for you, because you are such a unique example of what it means to understand both cultures and mindsets, and to really look at it through a lens that very, very few people have. And I think that you realize that, and you feel that responsibility of stepping into the shoes that God put before you and say, this is my story, my journey. It's a really powerful one.